One position that each team in the Big Six needs to strengthen in before the close of the window. Let's start with our favourite club, Manchester United. Where do they need to strengthen, Kim?
Everywhere. They need to strengthen everywhere, and they need to change the mentality of the football club. I think if you're looking at one player, I don't think they've got any of the striker signings right for a long time. I think Xerxes looked really exciting at Bologna, but that was after one season. Rasmus Højlund, I was looking at his goal tally over his entire career. It's not very good. So I'm not really sure why they spent so much money on him. I think United, in the same way that we were discussing Spurs earlier, are just going to have an off season. They're going to have a season where they probably don't win anything, and they're going to finish between sort of 14th and 9th. So I don't think it matters too much. I think you will both mention wing backs is integral to Amorim's side. But I think for Manchester United, if they can get a good striker on the cheap, I think they should do, because they're definitely going to have to do it in the summer where prices will be much higher.
Yeah, I think Man United, if you look at this side, they've got issues at wing back. That's clearly an issue. Striker's an issue, like you outlined. But even in centre mid, the composition of it doesn't work. I love Kobe Mainoo, but he's not a ground eater. He doesn't cover enough ground. Ugarte's been probably their best signing, but I don't necessarily think it's a long-term solution. But priority is definitely wing-back. If you think about Amorim's system, right? Amorim's a manager that at Sporting Lisbon, wing-backs were his priority. That was how his teams attacked. And with wing-backs, I've said it before on this show, there are either full-backs that want more or wingers that need less, right? And they haven't got that at Manchester United. Garnacho doesn't fit into that. They played Ahmad at wing back. That doesn't really work either. They were linked with Nuno Mendes. We saw him play well against City in the Champions League for PSG. But whoever they can bring in those positions, they need to improve it, because Mazraoui and Dalot, they are not the solutions. I think Mazraoui is a very good player, but in a back four, maybe one of the back three, one of the defenders of the back three. And then you look at Dalot, a player that was signed under Jose Mourinho. He's a player that, again, served the purpose last season, but is not the solution. So for me, Man United need to improve on wing backs.
Can I just throw a quick question out there? Maybe not in January is not the appropriate time to make a move. Andre Onana, does he get an unfair rep, or is he just really quite bad? Because it seems to me that he makes big mistakes very often that cost United so many points.
The problem you've got is, like, if you're a manager and you want to fix a system, and you go and replace your goalkeeper, who currently just, like, he does the bare bones of what they need. I don't think that moves the needle enough, because then you're back in the De Gea situation, I think, where you have a guy who just keeps getting you out of trouble. I don't think an upgrade in goal was going to change enough.
Yeah, they've got bigger issues than Andre Onana. I think on his day, he's a decent enough goalkeeper. Yes, if they're a team challenger for a title, you need to improve it, but they need to get back into the top half of the table.
Up next, let's go with Man City. I think it's pretty obvious. There's no Rodri, although there's rumours he might be fit before the end of the season, which is utter madness. There's also Joshua Kimmich, who's out of contract in 6 months at Bayern. He's been linked as well. But the question I had for you, obviously Man City will want a 6, but what do they do with that 6 when Rodri comes back?
I think getting someone like Douglas Luiz seems like the most logical solution. I don't think he's the right man, because I don't think that when he played his best football, he was a natural 6. I think for Villa, he was playing a little bit further forward. And I don't see him in that 6 role as a huge improvement on Mateo Kovacic, really. And I only say that because I don't see him as a natural defensive-minded player. I think he's a fantastic footballer, and I think that would work, because you would do a loan deal, and as soon as Rodri comes back, he's gone. Or if we were forced to pay permanently for him, he can play in those more advanced positions. And I think he was fantastic at Villa. I was calling us to kind of to trigger the buyback clause, because I thought he was a fantastic player. I think we just need a little bit of cover for now. I think obviously City are going to spend between sort of 60 to 100 million on a centre defensive midfielder in summer, because we need to. I don't think it matters when Rodri comes back. I think there's going to have to be more rotation, because we've seen what has happened with the overplaying of Rodri. It's completely unsustainable, and you cannot hinge your entire success on one player. So I think cover it now with Douglas Luiz, even though I don't think he's the right man. And then I think in summer, spend properly on a 6.
I think just quickly, on the back of that, I think Liverpool should also be going for Douglas Luiz. I think Liverpool will have a problem in midfield if Ryan Gravenberch gets injured. It's then Endo, who I do love, but I think Gravenberch's been so integral to how Liverpool play this season that they should be hopping on the Douglas Luiz bandwagon, and probably a centre-back as well. But it's difficult to judge Liverpool considering where they've got to this season. Arsenal, we spoke about a lot in the Arsenal-Wolves preview about them needing a striker, but we didn't mention Benjamin Sesko.
Again, I don't think that he is the solution. Arsenal need a banker up top, and they were linked with Sesko in the summer. Of course, he signed that new contract. and the price has gone up. And that happens with these type of players. If you don't get them when you're initially interested, they do sign new contracts and the price does go up. So the selling team can get money for them. But Arsenal do need a striker, but I don't think January is the month to do it. I think that they maybe have to realign their ambitions and they have to trust in the process, like they tell us all the time, that this squad that they've got currently can chase down Liverpool. I don't think they can. But trying to bring in that centrepiece, that man to put the ball in the back of the net 20 times a season in January, it's hard to do. Arsenal done it before. Aubameyang came in January, but that was a unique situation. I don't think this January the striker that will take Arsenal to league glory is available, and I think they should wait for the summer.
All right, over to Tottenham. We'll stay in London. They have so many injuries, but I think the trick with them is probably going, this is what the squad looks like in full. What do they need now?
I think they need a centre-back now. Romero and Van de Ven are to Spurs what Rodri is to Manchester City. When they're out, everything completely falls apart, and we've seen that this season. And I think if you're a football club who has a lot of money and you're trying to regularly win trophies, having 2 players at centre-back is not enough. You need 3, you need 4, you even need 5 with someone who might be able to fill in at right back, fill in at left back, which is what Guardiola's done with the defence, which has worked so fruitfully for him. So I think they need more defenders because that's where they get exposed all the time.
Piero Hincapié has been linked from Bayer Leverkusen to Tottenham. He's also been linked to Liverpool as well. Can play left back and centre back. I'm surprised he hasn't had a move earlier, to be fair. And Chelsea might also be after a centre back potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I just again, similar to the Arsenal situation, that the player that can come in and change our future isn't available. It's once in the blue moon that you can sign a Van Dijk in January. Liverpool did it, and it changed the course of their history. I just don't think that player is out there. And Chelsea have got injuries to centre backs. So you think about the injury to Fofana or Badiashile. They've recalled Trevor Chalobah from loan. I don't think any of those are A-side centre backs. I think they're very good alongside the guy, but the guy is not available in January. Goalkeeper though is a position that does need to be addressed. Again, is January the right month? No, but Robert Sanchez is losing Chelsea points week in and week out. And so if that can be addressed, look at it. But it's probably similar to the centre-back situation. You're going to have to wait till summer to really bring in somebody to make that big effect on the starting 11.
What I would say is you're talking quite a lot about like A-side strikers or A-side players not being available in January. And I think one transfer that's going massively under the radar is City's signing of Omar Marmoush. If that happened in summer or at a period of time where City weren't in such poor form, that would be looked at as an unbelievable, huge statement signing. And that has been made in January. So I do think that if the money is right, players are willing to move. I mean, he's obviously had a fantastic 18 months at Frankfurt. Pep Guardiola and Man City have gone for him. He's clearly seen that as a big step up. Yeah. City have given the money to Frankfurt that Frankfurt demanded, and that transfer has been made. So I do think that players are probably more willing to move in January now more than ever than you think.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'll probably counter that with Marmoush is a great signing for Man City. Is it blockbuster? Is it the equivalent of bringing Alexander Isak to Arsenal? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are going to change the face of a football club and help you win titles. Marmoush will do that for City, but there are still more signings to be made. He's just one of a plethora of players that we brought in to rebuild the City side. Whereas with Chelsea, I'm talking about a Van Dijk. I'm talking about an Alisson. For Arsenal, I'm talking about an Alexander Isak. I'm talking about these huge transfers that you hear the talkings, you hear the murmurings, the rumours go on for months and months before the deal actually happens. Those type of deals I think are so hard to do in January just because of all the machinations that are involved in terms of the contracts and the deals to be done. And I don't think Chelsea can do that in this window.